Welcome to Well Said, a podcast produced by the Well Community Church, hosted by Mary Graham and Tory Mayo. Our desire is to give you the knowledge and confidence to apply a biblical perspective to various topics.
Oh, hello there. How are you?
I'm doing well. It is good to be here
Last time I started
today.
really low, so I figured I'd just,
Start really high.
I really just like to see Austin's face because he's like, what?
We got to get that giggle back. That's what we like.
You good?
I'm great.
Great.
Excited to be here again. It's a grace of the Lord, of His kindness and goodness.
I think we've said this multiple times. We record 2 episodes per thing.
Yeah, because you're busy, as we talked about with ministry. This is the
That
time
is
we
true.
have.
This is our second one of the day, is what I'm saying, even though it comes out. All right. What is the icebreaker? Here we go.
Are you trying to talk about why you're wearing the same shirt? Is that what you were trying to do?
I was not thinking that at all.
Okay.
But okay, there we go. And now I get the icebreaker. I used to change, and then I'm like, don't nobody be actually looking
Also,
at YouTube.
9 times out of 10, you're wearing a black shirt.
Yes.
Both
it is
times.
True. It is
so
true.
people don't notice. And then you were just like, well, people will notice that you changed your shirt. So Mary, you could do it. And then you don't care anymore, and I still do it. So second episode, I brought it.
Stopped changing because we're shooting the same thing. It ain't like we out here doing a workout in between. And then
it's true.
But y'all see it 2 weeks apart. And I think it's totally okay to wear the same shirt 2 weeks apart. In fact, I think it's okay to wear the same shirt 1 week apart.
I also agree.
There we go.
I wear these same shirts every week.
Yes, same.
I wash them on Saturday.
Same.
So.
All right, icebreaker. What media app on your phone do you use the most?
Yes, it's great. Right now is Audible.
Wow.
I've been listening to A Voice in the Wind series by Francine Rivers. So...
Nice.
Just for fun. Haven't listened to it in a long time. It's a really old, sweet little series, but I just needed something to do while doing laundry and tasks, and was kind of tired of podcasts and filling, and so I just wanted something a little more chill. So,
is it bad that I don't really know what A Voice in the Wind is?
No.
Okay.
No.
You said it, and I was like, I feel like I should know that.
No.
I don't know what that is.
No, it was written in I think it came out in the early 90s or something.
Oh, okay.
It's super old.
You also said the word Francine, and I thought she was from the 1700s.
Francine Rivers has written a ton.
Oh, she wrote that one book.
She wrote the one about the
Redeeming Love or
yes,
whatever?
Redeeming Love. There you go. That's why you would know her.
You.
Yeah.
Okay,
this
great.
is another series of
I
her.
don't feel any bad. Okay,
it's set in Rome and Ephesus, and so it's just
I thought it was
fun.
a book you read in 9th grade literature.
No.
That's what it sounded like in my head.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
No, it's got a Christian lens. Sweet little Hadassah.
Okay.
Being a good servant and loving her masters and changing them to the gospel.
I really want to name one of our kids Hadassah.
Really?
But our niece is named Hadassah, and they beat us to it.
Okay. Yeah, well, there you go. She's the main character. It's really good. After that, Spotify, because my daughter loves music. And so as soon as we get in the car, Mommy, play this, Mommy, play that.
Yeah.
So what about you?
Spotify, easy. Yeah, I wouldn't even know what a close second would be.
Just all the time.
Yeah.
What do you listen to on Spotify? Because there's books, there's audiobooks on Spotify now, there's actual podcasts, and there's music. So
I listen to audiobooks sometimes. I listen majority podcasts. And then for sure music too, like when I'm working out or if a new album that I really like comes out. New album came out today, and I'm going to listen to it today type thing. So,
It's your one-stop shop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
Talking about media consumption. How should we do this responsibly? All those sorts of things. You gave a good when we were preparing for this. You gave a really good with the Perrys just did
They did not too long ago.
episode on this not too long ago, but their perspective was very content creator. How do you produce media?
Leaned a little
use
more that
it?
way with a tagline of if you consume this also. At least that was my perception.
And we want to get into the consumption side.
Yeah,
what does
a
it
little
look
bit more.
like to consume that well, to use that well, all those sorts of things. What is media? Give a high level, because I think all of us have probably a little bit of a different.
Depending on the generation we grew up in or whatever, how do we define media? So for this conversation, media includes news, any kind of news, television, movies, books, music and podcasts, social media, and even now, Chat GPT or AI.
My guy.
Your guy. Yes.
Which includes things like Pinterest or Reddit or like Zillow, you just want to look to see what new houses are around. Like all of those can be a form of
media.
Entertainment
Yes.
that you are using to find comfort, pleasure, escape, whatever.
Yes, yeah.
So,
Because I want to say not just social media. Because I feel like people have had that conversation in general, but media consumption in like media, all of those things are actually things that we consume. So we're looking at it all.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you take lead
today.
because you are the one that took lead on this. So
Well, now if it's terrible, thanks a lot. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. No, I think this is such an important conversation, and I know that it's one that I feel like has been had over and over and over and over and over again. But please do not tune us out. If you feel like I've got this on my phone or I've got that on my phone or everything else, like stick with us. I think the Lord has something to tell us through all of this. And so just to kind of start us off, I have recently spent some time not in social media, not at all. So,
or most media
in general. I only did books and music is what I did. So how this came about is during the summers, Scott and I take turns doing different subscriptions, like to watch TV and different things like Hulu or whatever, because throughout the year we have YouTube TV because we love sports. So we just decided we were going to take a break, and him kind of checking the spiritual health of all of us was like, man, hey, we're complaining a lot about you and I not spending time together, and it's because we're so tired at the end of the day. We're just like, oh, let's just watch TV. Oh, let's just watch TV. Let's just get to another day. And it was like, what if we just didn't? What if we just decided to take July and not watch any TV, movies, anything like that? And I was like, great. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this a little step further. I felt like the Lord was like, hey, I want you to get rid of all of it. So I only listened to music, which honestly I didn't listen to that much. It's probably why Audible is currently the most one. I listened to books. I was like, I want to get out of that mess. And so a lot of this conversation is just going to come from the conviction of that and the experience of that and what I learned, and a little bit what I would love to encourage and challenge our people in. So we, for the month of July in the Graham household, Becca did not participate. She's continued to watch her Blues, but did not watch TV. And so, yeah, I felt like it was very interesting to see, as soon as we were taking that away, how many times I picked up my phone to like go to something and was like, oh, nope, can't do that. Picked it up, oh, can't do that. Like, it was alarming. It was alarming the first like week to be like that. And I'm so glad I took the app off, because it was like, where is that? Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the places and the times that I did that were like so unnecessary. So unnecessary. I'm like feeding my kid and I'm like, I got 2 minutes here. Let me just, or let me. And so it just became this like whatever of this. I realized it was just fascinating to see how much.
One of our old elders called the cell phone this generation cigarette.
Ooh, yes.
Where it's like, I'm kind of bored or I'm kind of anxious or I'm kind of, let me just go. And so it's like you just reach for it without really even thinking.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's insightful.
Yes. So the first like big realization for me was like, why am I even going to this? Like, what? I think what's important to this conversation is like, we don't mindlessly consume anything ever. It is feeling something within us, whether we realize it or not. And so kind of the first question that the Lord brought to my mind in this was like, what are you trying to fill in this moment when you're going to that? Like, what are you needing that you do not have in this moment? Are you bored? Are you trying to escape what's going on in your life right now? Are you trying to get away from something? Are you angry? Are you trying to like feed into that? Are you joyful and wanting to see joyful things? Are you lacking connection and with people and trying to find that in an app, looking at other pictures of other people living their life? And so that was a really challenging question, because I don't think I'd ever thought about it filling a need for me. I thought that it was my choice, right? I thought I was going to it as my choice because it's my phone and I'm choosing to turn this app on. But in reality, it had trained me to go to it for simple things rather than elsewhere. And so kind of the first step was like, if I picked up my phone to look at something, be it even emails from work when I'm not at work, I also learned like, okay, when I didn't have social media to look at, what was the next thing I did? Oh man, the amount of times I went and checked work emails and saw that not only am I looking and scrolling mindlessly, it's because I'm bored, was that one. But then it became replacing it with like trying to fill it with a good thing, right? Like, oh, I have a few minutes. Like, is there something to do for work? Because work is important because I work in ministry. So is there a need I need to fill? Is there a thing I need to do? It was like, that's not even good, because the amount of times I checked my email while I wasn't at work became astounding. So it was like, wow, instead of turning off this one thing, I'm just putting another fix on it. Like, I'm not actually doing anything different. It's like, okay, again, what need am I trying to fill here? And so I finally just decided, like, okay, if I pick up my phone looking for something, the only app I'm allowed to open is Scripture. And so I started reading through the Psalms. And it was so life-giving. You know, I had felt like in the season leading up, and Scott and I both are like, there's just no time. You know, we have a 3.5-year-old, we have a now 9-month-old, and trying to do life and keep up with the dishes versus like trying to have relationships with people, trying to have a relationship with each other. Madeline and Becca were on the same schedule where they would both wake up at like 7 and then go to bed at like 7:38. And then Madeline just decided it would be fun to start getting up at 5:30, 6 o'clock, while Becca still gets up at 7. So our day would start at like 5:45 and it would end when we put Becca down at 8 p.m. Then you have 2 hours to either connect with each other, connect with others, or clean the house, do the dishes, do meals, get lunches ready, like all of the life things. And it just felt like survival and emptying. And all the while, everything around us is trying to fill us with other things, right? Because there is a point at which we pick up our phones and we do have, in a sense, a choice to fill things. But there's also noise all around us, filling us. People are talking about politics, so you're tempted to go look up more or need to look up more, or the new album that's released, or all of these different things. And so even outside of our own choices, I think when I stopped making the choice to choose, I also was able to hear outside all of the things that were coming in and realizing that they were so much louder than the Lord. That like life was constantly being filled with other things that were not of Jesus. And I just, again, I think I've kind of struggled for a long time in the season of motherhood of trying to figure out what does it look like to spend time with the Lord, because the best way I spend time with the Lord is an hour. Succinct time, because it takes 15 minutes for me to shut my mind off of other things, then to get a good 20 minutes with the Lord, and then to transition back into the rest of the world. And that doesn't exist in a life with small children. So like I've constantly struggled and done different things in different seasons to find it. And I just, removing all of that in such a way, like was just so opening to be like, wow, like I don't hear the Lord in all of these things. Like I'm hearing all of this other that's a lot of things. There are a lot of things. There's screaming children all the time. There's someone grabbing me. There's someone, and it just, I was able to recognize the amount of emptying and energy that I was using outside of those things. And so when I started reading the Psalms, I was like, wow, this input like is actually filling. And maybe it's 2 minutes, but I realized that 20 minutes later in the day, when my kid's screaming at me and I'm tired, the Lord brought that to mind. Over the screaming, the voice became louder. And so there's a lot of things that I learned for this, and one of which was that God's voice was so much louder when I separated myself, so much so. And so I felt so much freer. I think, too, the mindlessly scrolling on social media that I would do, in many ways, it started out as a really good thing. It'd be like, man, like, am I making enough milk at this point in time? Or like, how do other people like do potty training? Or like, how do we deal with this problem and that? And it was a desire to seek good things, like knowledge. But then once you tap that button, then what's your whole thing about? Everything becomes about that one thing. And then it hears you talk about it. And so it adds more. And so it's forcing itself into your brain. And I just don't think I realized how much of that was. And so in some ways, I was enslaved to trying to find knowledge in that place. And then it was constantly presented to me of like, oh, this new idea. Well, maybe this will work. And being a person who loves knowledge, who likes to create order and seek wisdom and have an answer to these questions, it was just like feeding myself in such a negative way. And so some of the scriptures that the Lord brought to mind that I think he was calling me to in this that didn't come out till later was Proverbs 4, let's start with Psalm 90:12. It says, so teach us to number our days that we may get a heart of wisdom. And so that was one of the first places that the Lord really brought me. It was just like, I'm in a season where I feel like I don't have time. And what does it look like to number my days? To stop surviving from one day to the next and to like number them and to seek wisdom in them. How do I use what little time I have to actually change, to actually grow? Because I felt so stagnant. Scott and I were having these date nights and he's like, what's the Lord doing in your life? And I'm like, same thing as last week, same thing as last week. And so the Lord was just like, that's not what I have for you. And so one of the big things was like, okay, teach me to number my days so we may grow a heart of wisdom. And then Proverbs 4:23 was to keep your heart with all diligence, for from it flow the springs of life. And so God was kind of revealing in me that I wasn't keeping my heart or guarding it in the right ways because I was feeding it the wrong things. Some of them purposely by choosing to pick up my phone or choosing to, in the evenings, instead of connecting with Scott or like getting something done or talking with Jesus, I would just sit and watch TV. And so I think that's what the Lord was really calling me to and trying to help me understand and different things like that. And so, it was really interesting, I think, thinking back to our last episode, we talked about Jesus needing to go to desolate places. And I think the biggest thing I learned in this season is what a desolate place looks like for me. Because it wasn't what people said. It was, hey, as a mom, pray while you're breastfeeding. Well, I tried to do that, but then my toddler is over here screaming. And so that moment is instantly interrupted. So I had no desolate place. And I didn't realize how to create silence in my life. And I needed more silence than I thought that I did. So to kind of make a long story short, it's just, the Lord was asking me all kinds of things from what am I trying to fill by doing this? Is this actually bringing me closer to him or farther away? Again, like I said, when Scott and I were doing date night, it was like one thing after another. It was like the same thing. Well, I'm kind of learning this, but not really. And it's hard to gauge myself. I think, again, the Lord's voice was the loudest when I pushed all of things away. It wasn't my voice. It wasn't the same. It was his. And I think that was really desirous. I think another great question is just like that I asked myself is, what are all these things adding to my life? Like in a time, the days are few. So what is this adding to my life by sitting here and watching TV? Is it making me exalt the Lord because of the art of it? I think there's really great things about media. I do love movies. Like we broke our fast on August 1st and the first movie that I made Scott and I watch was Wicked. Now, Scott was not thrilled about this, but we watched it because, long story short, I won a bet. And he lost. And so that was his consequence, was he had to watch it with me. But because I love the art of it, the artistry, the beauty, the talent, all of those things. So there is a way to use these things and glorify God to like fill space rightly. But I think because I had just been consuming it for so long, I didn't realize how to do that anymore. I thought I was doing that and I wasn't actually doing any of that whatsoever. So learning what to be fixed, like, why am I going to these things? Again, are they bringing me closer to the Lord? Are they bringing me farther away? Are they lifting me up? In terms of connecting with people, like I'm a terrible texter. Many of you who are listening who know me well, it might be 2 weeks before I respond to a text message. I get overwhelmed by trying to do that in the space and time. I always want to respond very thoughtfully. And so if I don't have time to do that, then I don't respond then, and then it becomes 2 weeks. And it's like, I actually became a better responder. I'm still working on it. It might be a week now. But I became a better responder because it was like, oh, I had the space to meet with people. And I wasn't in my mind thinking that I was connecting with them because I'm scrolling through their social media page. And when I see them on Sunday, I'm like, oh, looks like you had such a great time. And I'm soothing myself with the wrong type of relationship. And so, what am I feeding in me? What am I doing? Am I going to these things to distract? Am I going to them to learn? It was just really helpful to take the time to stop and analyze why I was doing what I was doing and what effect it was actually having on me. Because I don't think I saw an effect at all whatsoever. And so, I would love to challenge us to really consider media in general, the consumption of media, what things are actually intaking, like even take an inventory. Like, what all apps do you have on your phone? I deleted so many apps that I was like, I don't need this. I don't want to look at that. You know, I think about coming back to it now, and I am not using it the same whatsoever and will never use it the same again. Going back to the idea of a desolate place, like, I learned that I needed a lot more space and a lot more silence than I think a lot of other people. It's not okay for me to have Instagram on the pop-up of my feed. And so it's like, I'm going to look at it once a week. And that's it. Just see what people are doing, check in. I want to see the cute babies that get posted and how people are doing. But like more than that, and it's not okay for me. Don't have Pinterest anymore. Took that off. Don't have ESPN. Don't need to be scrolling on there. You know, when I think about in the past, I told myself the story that I was using things like Facebook and Instagram to catch up with family. But what I found myself doing when I didn't have it is actually just texting people and saying, how are you? Haven't heard from you in a while. What's going on? And it's like that fed my soul so much more than watching at a distance. I'm a person with very limited capacity in comparison. And so quieting those things gave me space to be more real and general. And so, yeah, I'd encourage people to like take an inventory of apps. Like, why are you using things? What are they adding to their life? Are they bringing you closer to God and his people, building his kingdom? Are they helping you do ministry like we talked about last time? Or are they just filling space and distracting you from what's important in your life?
That's really good. It's funny you talk about the, like, I got to grab it. I have to look at it. When I went on my first sabbatical, like 6 years ago, I felt my phone buzzing all the time. But it wasn't because I actually had everything shut off except for like maps and stuff like that. I literally had a response text go out. Like if you texted me, you got a response, almost like a out of office like email.
Yeah.
So I got that on my phone. So I wouldn't even get the text until the end of the day. Like it just the way that I did the app, they all came in like at 8. That way, if I'm seeing something, there was like 3 people that could get through, like Natalie, whatever, right? But I felt my phone go off all the time because I was just so used to it, and so I would grab my phone, look, and then feel this sense of like, oh no, like I'm not being productive. What am I worth? You know, and it's like, wait, that creates my worth, and so it's just funny you saying that. I also think it's interesting with the idea of like. By no means are you saying this. I know you're not. We're not saying this. Like media is not bad. It can be used for good. I believe that God wants our enjoyment of things.
Absolutely.
And if there are things that bring joy, that's great. Like there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But when you were talking, I just got the picture of almost like a buffet where it's like, okay, to eat a steak and to have 6 ounces of a ridiculously good steak once a month is like really, really good. If you eat 6 ounces of that same steak every day, you might still enjoy it because you like steak, but by no means is it as tasty. Like it just, if you eat 6 ounces of steak every other minute, you know, then you will vomit. And I think a lot of us are gorging on so much media that it's making us sick.
That is so good.
I don't
That's
think
how
we
I felt.
realize that.
That is how I felt, and I had no idea how sick I was. In my heart, in my soul, in my mind. Was totally deceived. Yeah.
There's in Ephesians chapter 5, there's while you were talking, I was thinking about this. Verses, let's see, where is it at? Verse 15. Look carefully then how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise, making the best use of the time because the days are evil. Therefore, do not be foolish, but understand what the will of the Lord is. So there is an ability to use the days are evil. So that means that there is something about the day that works against the kingdom of God. It's evil. That's what Paul's saying. So it's like there are all these things that want to work against what God is calling us towards, what he has us, what our purpose is, what his will is for us, like it says there in verse 17. And so it's like you have to be wise to understand what that looks like. And even as you were talking, people make fun of me all the time for having like an Android. And I'm like, no, literally I have that because I have the ability to manipulate my phone in the way that the iPhone won't allow you to for safety reasons, all that stuff, whatever. I'm not even trying to make a case for it. But I literally have it.
Maybe just a little bit.
I'm really not. Once y'all got delayed text, I was like, okay, I've been doing that for 10 years. That was the thing that kept me. And I'm like, oh, okay. But I have it because I am able to literally block my phone. So like Natalie has like blockers on IG, but you could just get around it on the iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
On Android, you can't. I would have to hard reset my entire phone.
Wow.
I would have to start all over.
That is a nice boundary.
So nobody's going to do that. Ain't nobody going to do that for IG, right?
Yes.
And so I have, I had it at 10 minutes. I increased it to 15 not too long ago. But like 15 minutes of IG. And I ain't got TikTok because I ain't Gen Z.
Never have I had TikTok. Too terrified to get that.
There were a couple of other apps that I have that on there. I can't even think what they are right now because I barely use them. But like blockers where it's like, okay, I'm just not going to extend. Oh, chess, the chess app.
Yeah,
it's
you were
like,
playing that with a lot of people.
It's okay to actually like, okay, I've just been thinking about all this stuff for 85,000 minutes. I want to still have my brain be active, but in a different way. That's great. I don't need to play 9 games a day, right?
Yeah.
So I had a blocker on. I still have a blocker on it. Anyway, so there's a few things that I had it, which I'm like, I think that there's a lot of wisdom there, even to like creating these limits, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really good but I think too, what's interestingly enough is like, I actually love that Androids like don't allow you to get along with that blocker, because Scott and I talked about doing this fast in June. And so I have a blocker on my phone for apps like Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest and different things like that ahead of time. And I was in the habit of just going around them because it pops up on iPhone and says, your time is up. Ask in 5 minutes, ask tomorrow, like ignore altogether. And I found like in June, the amount of times that I was actually ignoring it. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to actually honor that. The whole month of June, I honored it. And I still felt like it was too much. It was too much for me. So it was like, I'm following, and that's what was so interesting to me about it. And that's why I like wanted to talk about this for our people, because it's like, I was following a lot of really good advice for how I used it. I like took a time where I like unfollowed people I didn't know, that I was like doing only people in our community or people that I was touching with. Like I had asked some of these questions, like, what is this adding? Okay, if I wanted to keep up with family and get rid of all these mom accounts and all of that, don't use it for that. And I did that, and it still wasn't enough. I was following all the right rules. I was doing all the right things that I had been told is the right way to like use media. And the Lord was trying to tell me, Mary, that's too much for you. You need a more desolate place. You know, we've always joked, you know, it was just like this light bulb moment, because my desolate place, and it's always funny when we do inner healing plays or prayers and people are like, go to a place where you find Jesus. It's always me in a blind hunting with Colt. That is my place with Jesus, because that was my silence and solitude.
Colt is her old dog, not Colt McCoy.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for clarifying. Yeah, on my watch, I still have my sweet dog's face.
She loves Scott, not Colt McCoy.
That is true. And so that was my silence and solitude, and I did it every week, or like when I would go walk Colt, like that was my time with the Lord. And so I have not had that now since having children, and this desolate place literally has to be desolate for me. It has to be completely empty. I cannot consume as much as the average person. That's what I learned.
That's
like
good.
a
That's
huge
good.
bottom line. I followed all the rules, and it was still destroying me.
So good.
It still made me sick. And so I had to say, okay, what is right for me?
You went vegan.
I had to go vegan. That's so funny, especially given the hunting reference to murdering ducks. But yeah, like I realized the diet for me is way different than even the rules. Like I have to cut off more. I have to distance myself more. My place has to be a lot more desolate than most. And it's been really healthy for me and freeing to understand what boundary is right for me. Again, the Lord's voice is so much louder. My time with him is so much easier now to get into. Like if I have 20 minutes, I can have a solid time with the Lord, because I don't spend 15 of it sifting out all of the junk that I've been consuming that's been making me sick. I don't have to vomit or purge it out of me to then be present with the Lord. It's like right there. He's just right there. He's a moment away, a touch away, and I don't have to sift through this massive veil through the junk. And so I thought that was one of the most interesting things, is like I was even doing all the right things, and it still wasn't enough. It still wasn't enough.
Yeah.
It's like, to make an easier example too, it's like, you know, some people can handle sweets in their home. right? They can have it in the pantry.
They have one cookie a week.
They eat one cookie a week. They do whatever. For me, social media is the equivalent of Starburst jelly beans at Easter time because I cannot open that bag and eat a handful. Or like any media for that matter. Like I can't have that mess in my house because what happens with Starburst jelly beans is I open and I grab a handful and I eat the whole bag.
Yeah.
I have to tell someone to hide it from me. And I've finally just been like, I cannot have this in my house. Because I'll eat the whole thing and then I want to vomit. I literally make myself sick eating them because they're so good. They're so good. But I can't have them. And I have learned that media is the same way. I'm a little bit more of like, I just can't touch it as much as other people. Yeah. And that's what's good for my soul. That's what's good for my soul.
Yeah, that's really good. I want to almost move us into an application point here, moving us into a scripture that you're referencing right now.
Yeah.
That I think is like really good. Romans 14. Paul talks about like not passing judgment on others. It's really intriguing. There's all sorts of, in fact, I was just over here and then I left it. In Colossians, Paul actually talks about, I'll go back to Romans in a second. But Colossians, Paul talks about how for some people, they think that one day is more holy, better than another. And essentially what Paul goes into is like, hey, like you have to determine really what God is calling you into. So then don't allow people to disqualify you, insisting on asceticism, worship of angels, going on in detail.
Where is that?
Colossians 3, I'm reading. I'll start at Colossians 2, verse 16. Therefore, let no one pass judgment on you with questions of food or drink in regard to the festival, the new moon, or the Sabbath. They're a shadow of things to come. The substance belonging to Christ. Don't let people disqualify you by doing all, like, listen, literally attach yourself to Christ. Verse 20, remove the elementary spirits of the world. Don't submit to these regulations. There is an appearance of wisdom because they promote self-made religion, verse 23, and asceticism, severity to the body, but they're of no value in stopping the indulgence of the flesh. So for some, it's like, okay, as long as I only spend 10 minutes a day on social media, that's honestly a man-made rule. It could be really beneficial. That's not what Paul's saying. Paul's not saying, hey, never, ever put your limits on yourself.
Right.
But that's not what's going to create actual... What is going to detach you from Christ is really what's going on. And for me, 15 minutes a day is fine. I like to laugh. I like joy. My entire IG is just a bunch of comedy and jokes. And all I do is send stupid, funny memes back to some of my friends. So my 15 minutes is essentially just enough time to see what they've sent me, laugh about it, send them one or two, and then it cuts off.
And I'm
like, that's great. I just laughed, and I enjoy laughing. That's a good thing. God wants my joy, right? When I'm on an hour, I'm doing some of that stuff. So for me, it's okay. For you, it's like, no. That actually disconnects you from Christ. For me, it's either neutral or maybe even aids to my connection.
Yeah.
So we try to create these rules, Colossians 2 would tell us, and it's like, that's not. So Romans 14 then highlights the reality. So verse 5, it says, one person esteems one day as better than another, while another esteems all days alike. Each one should be fully convinced in his or her mind. And so it's like, okay, like each person has to realize like what is good for me, what is not good for me. Paul then gives all of this idea, not having people stumble. It's kind of like the First Corinthians, not eating meat sacrificed to idols. Same idea here. Paul's like, hey, listen, you got to figure out what's good for the person, what's good for you as well. But he ends on verse 23 as the end of this section. He says, but whoever has doubts is condemned if he eats, because that eating is not from faith. Here's the big part. For whatever does not proceed from faith is sin. Okay?
Yeah.
There have been times where the Lord has called me to remove certain media because I think that I cannot receive that by faith. What I mean by that is it jacks up my faith. And that's what you were saying, right?
Yes.
This was messing up your connection to your relationship with Christ. And so I think the wisdom, almost like moving into the, okay, so now what? It's like we really have to begin to think, like, what is God calling you to in this area? Not what is he calling Mary. Mary's an example that we can then use to begin to have wisdom to filter what God's doing for us. So we need to take what you're saying, hear that and go, dang, is that happening to me too?
And how do you know? Honestly, I'd encourage you to fast.
Yeah, totally. Fasting is almost always how you know.
Because when we eat, we feel the hunger, we understand, and we turn it to Jesus. How else are you going to know what place that this has in your life unless you remove it and see what is lacking?
One really good thing to that, by the way, is like, you always know what you're idolizing by your lack of desire to remove it. If you told me like, hey, T, like you can't listen, or you can't look at IG for a month, I'd be like, okay. Like I genuinely wouldn't care that much. I'd be like, why? And if you were like, because the Lord told me that somebody's going to get saved if you do that. Okay, bye. You know, like I'll never get on it again. Or if you told me like, hey, you're just getting more joy in the Lord. Okay, great. If you told me like, hey, bro, you can't listen to Spotify for like a year, and I'm like, why? And you're like, I just think he's going to like reveal something about the word to you. I'd be like,
are you willing to do it? Huh. That's a great,
I think he'll reveal it to me on Spotify too. And I like, right? And so it's like, okay, like fasting, you can almost, before you even fast, begin to realize if the thought of giving up social media or media, TV, even books, things like that, if the thought of giving that up for a month makes you sick, you're probably overeating that. You're overconsuming.
Or if you're like, why?
Yeah, totally.
I'm fine.
Totally.
Because we
almost
deceive
defensive,
ourselves.
almost
I
defensive.
thought I was fine.
Yeah.
I have boundaries. I'm doing fine.
Yeah.
The Lord was like, no, you ain't.
Yeah.
Let me show you how sick you are and how much I want to heal you.
Because
like,
whatever does not proceed from faith is sin. It's like, hey,
Exactly.
like what is creating faith in your life?
Yes.
What are you able to do with a clear conscience?
Is
what
media
are you
creating
able
that?
to
Or is it not? And for me, it doesn't do a whole lot.
Yeah.
And so I don't need it.
Yep.
Don't
and it's
really
funny, want
yo.
it. I listen to this shouldn't be controversial. Most people, let me reframe it. Most people have different convictions about the movies that they watch. Because for some, seeing violence does not do good for their soul and they feel it, so they don't.
Good connection.
For some, seeing horror does not do good for their soul. They feel open to spiritual attack, so they don't. For some, like seeing blood, somebody get killed, doesn't do anything. They're like, they literally don't think about it. They turn it off. You can objectively say, maybe they like went down 0.0001%, but they ain't feeling it. You ain't seeing it.
They go to sleep just fine.
For them, okay, whatever. For one person, a curse word is really bad. For another one, people cuss all throughout the movie. They're like, oh, whatever. So that's what it's talking about here. You have to know what is messing with your soul. But how do you know if you're not willing to give it up? So I do think that the idea here almost of like, hey, how do you begin to determine with the Lord how you consume media, like bringing him into that and allowing him to take reign and rule over that area of your life can be really powerful because he can reveal to you. The reason that I know that I can spend 10, 15 minutes on IG and it not really mess with my work, my kids, my whatever, is because I've tested it before.
Yes. Do we
I just
test
told
these
you
things? I don't
on
think we
sabbatical,
do.
I don't have a phone really. It turns into a dumb phone. So I got to test it.
Yeah.
I took an emergency sabbatical in between my sabbatical periods a few years ago, and the same thing. And it did nothing to me. Now, like what you're saying, it also didn't feel like it was such a great aid where now I'm like, oh man, I'm just so connected to the Lord. It just felt like I got to quiet some stuff for a season, which I needed to.
Yep.
But it also didn't feel like, whoa, I didn't realize I had to go vegan. I didn't realize I had a food allergy.
Yeah.
And I keep eating this bread and it's making me sick. And to media, you have an allergy. But then to, certain movies, I have an allergy.
Yeah.
So you can't eat meat. I can't eat wheat, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like that idea. And it's like, you got to figure out with the Lord, like, hey, how has he wired you? What is he calling you into? A lot of us feel like we ain't got no time to serve the Lord because we're serving IG, but that's a whole other conversation. And so
I think it is a part of this conversation. Do you recognize that's what you're serving? Do you realize that's what you're serving? Because I think we have inklings of this, like you're saying with the movies. Like
you think it's serving you. I just almost threw my pen at you. You think that IG is serving you because it's giving you a release. You are worshiping at its altar.
Yeah, it's like I've always known news is not a good thing for me. It causes anxiety.
Or for almost anyone.
I don't know where to look to get real information. And so I've always had a very strong boundary for news. Like Scott is the one who tells me things I need to know. I'm like, it is safe for you to look and to do things.
Who's his boy? Who's he like?
David French
is
one of his boys. He has a wide brain trend, which is, again, it's just why I trust him. He is a wise person who can handle that stuff well to then give me what I need to know, send me articles that I need to be aware of so that I can pray for the right things, right? We should be aware of what's going on in the world. Otherwise, how do I plead for the Lord on others' behalf? But I've always known that news was an anxious anxiety over consuming things I didn't know how to do it well. But I got allergies elsewhere, is what I learned. So again, kind of like we're saying, like, we've got to start thinking about how these things play into our lives, how they affect us. Do we have an allergy? How do you know? You need to test it. People be doing Whole30 all the time to find out how their body reacts to things. Or even now, what's the big health thing is like doing the glucose monitoring to see how your body reacts to different carbs. Like, are we doing that with media consumption? Because it feels so innocent, but it is bombarding us every second of every day. Are we analyzing the input that it's putting in our life? Are we worshiping it? Thinking that we're in control. Yeah. It's wild.
That's so good. I honestly don't have anything else to say because I'm like, my application is like, hey, really pray. Like, just consider this. I think it's really wise to consider. And listen, what bad can it do if you decide to fast for a month and to actually spend time with the Lord?
Yep.
The literal absolute worst thing that could happen is it's neutral because it wasn't bad for you. And the Lord's just as present with you when you fast as when you're using. That's the literal absolute worst thing that can happen is it's neutral and you end up being the same person. Most people probably overeat here.
Yeah.
Most people probably have some allergies. And so what's probably going to happen is the Lord's going to reveal stuff to you. And then you can take that and honestly find deeper intimacy with Jesus to serve more, to be more present as a mom, as a husband, as a dad, as whatever your role is, as a friend, right? Like, or you realize, wow, I thought that going home early to scroll through my feed is what I needed. In reality, I needed to stay at CG a little bit longer because there's really good conversations at the end of CG.
Or I needed to pray before bed instead of seeing what the latest
People
was.
think they need to wind down by being on IG for a while. And it's like, what if you just had a gratitude journal and you just wrote Thanksgiving to God instead?
How much would that change our life?
And so I think that it's hard to even, and have a good plan, just like fasting. When I fast, I have a good plan. Okay, I'm going to drink this time. I'm going to not meet with this person here because I just create a plan to allow myself to pray more and to spend more time with the Lord. You could do the same thing here.
Yep.
I'm going to have a gratitude journal instead of being on IG at night. That's a great way to process that.
Just try.
So that's my only, I don't know if you have more, but I feel like it's honestly kind of really straightforward.
And I think it should be. We're talking about media consumption. This is a form of media.
Yeah.
We don't want to leave you on here. Then you should. So, I mean, I'm going to wrap it up reiterating the same thing. My plea is just please think about what you're consuming and what it's doing to you. Lay it before the Lord. Every single piece of it, even ones that you think are fine. And what's the worst going to happen if you give it up for a couple weeks? Okay, it might do nothing to you, but what if it gives you more of Jesus? What if you find more of Jesus?
Yeah.
Isn't that what we want? So friends, let's go find more of our good, risen, amazing Savior Jesus.
Come on.
Amen.
You know, when we first started ending this podcast on Well Said, it was like great. I always feel awkward saying it now, so you got to start ending us.
Okay, this was, we hope for you, well said.
No, you were well said.
What are you talking about?
What? Bye. Love you.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, like, subscribe, and share. For more information, visit our website at www.thewellaustin.com/podcast.